now we have purchased insulation. Of course, there's a lot of varieties out there, but as we said earlier, we're trying to not put toxins into our small environment. So I did some research, and there's a company, Rolux, that's a subsidiary of Rockwood, and they make a mineral wool insulation that has no toxins. Now, what is mineral wool? I'm going to pull it out of the box here. I'm not really happy with how they box things. Every single sheet comes in one of these big cardboard boxes. But you can see it's a fairly rigid sheet. Now, rock wool is a natural product. It occurs from volcanic activity. And what the Rolux folks do differently is they don't add any chemicals to theirs. So you have a product without releasing any VOCs into your environment. And it has qualities such as it's water repellent, which means it's going to resist rot, mold, mildew. It's sound absorbing. And it's fire absorbent to 1800 Fahrenheit. Not that we plan to bake our insides of our cabin, but, and it's R4. So the only way you can purchase this is in 2 foot by 4 foot sheets. And they have a variety of thickness, but with our metal walls, we needed 1 inch, which gives us an R4. Now, it would be nice if all of our metal supports were the same distance apart, but they're not. So I have to cut these out individually. And it's fairly easy to cut. You measure first the support that you're going to place these in between. In this case, I have 14 3/4, and I'm using a chalk pencil to just make an indentation into the rock wool where I'm going to cut on both sides. And then you may have a nice 4 foot piece of equipment, but what I do is I take a yardstick on my marks and the 18-inch ruler and line them up to where I put the chalk mark so they merge and make a nice straight line. The only reason I'm using a chalk pencil is why I add lead. So, all right. So just very light pressure on the product. You'll be able to make a line that you can see when you do your cutting. Okay. So I've got my line. And how do I cut this? I cut it with a bread knife and just follow the line that you made. I like cutting on top of the cardboard box because you can hear when you're through. So you cut it, you slip it in between the slats, and see how clean this is? There's no little pieces of styrofoam dancing around. So that's a really nice feature. And we've been pretty pleased so far with what we've put in. We'll show you sort of how it fits in later. and with good fortune, we'll have a finished product to show you. But thank you for watching, and I bought this from Granger as my supplier, and there'll be a link for that at the bottom of the video if you're interested in finding the Rolux. Well, we're finished. All the insulation is up on all the walls, and it went so easily. Just trim it to size. Of course, each of these panels is not exactly the same size like you'd hope it'd be, and they're not entirely parallel. So there was a little bit of fudging around, but 3 days worth of work and it's up. The really nice thing about the paneling is that it adheres to each other, and so you don't have to tape it. That saves you some money. That said, the only downside to this particular insulation is that it's expensive, all right? But not taping it saves you a little bit. Everything else about this stuff is great. Soundproofing, so when it rains on your metal roof, you're not going to hear that. Or if you need to park somewhere that's not boondocking, maybe the neighbors don't have to hear you. It's fire repellent, has an R value of 4, which is pretty high. And the super big thing is that it's chemical free. So unlike those spray-in foams where the guys come up in hazmat materials, that can't be safe, right? So we're really happy about it. And when I tucked it into the windows, they stabilized it a lot more than when they were sitting alone. Of course, they screw in with these hinges, but this will make it even more secure, and of course it's insulating. All right, and we finished the walls. We're going to put up the wood, and then once that's up, we're going to work on the roof as well, which my tall 6'3" husband will do. But so my part of putting the insulation up is pretty much taken care of, and I'm pleased. And oh, this was so efficient because 23 boxes worth of material, and that's all the scrap. And it's maybe what, half a roll left over? So that's just wonderful. And so the stuff is wonderful but hard to find. So look at the bottom in the comments, and there'll be a link to the only place I could find it, which was at Granger, if you want to use this yourself. And I'm giving it strong recommendations. I'm so pleased we went with this. Now don't forget to give us a like if this video was informative or you enjoyed it, and consider subscribing to our channel as we progress into converting this cargo trailer into a camper. Thank you.